There's nothing more humbling and inspiring
and attractive
than witnessing somebody be truly and uniquely exceptional.
Except, of course, for their journeys. Maybe it's luck.
Maybe it's genetics.
Maybe it's work ethic.
Scott and I wanted to see if we could discover what makes some of the universe's most incredible humans the successes they've become, and ultimately find out exactly how they became
so good.
Hey you guys, welcome to another episode of Ugh, You're So Good. Today our guest is Michelle Kwan, who is the most decorated figure skater in U.S. history. She is a 2-time Olympic medalist and a 5-time world champion. And today we get to hear how she did it. We hope you like it. Hello, guys. We have the most exciting guest ever today, Michelle Kwan. We can't even really believe it.
I can't believe we're in your presence. You are
I know.
literally
I have
legendary.
DM'd you for 100 years.
With my dog.
Yes,
How are you?
How
are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Enjoying summer.
Yeah.
Very busy though, like you guys.
Yeah, you're so busy and the coolest. I mean, obviously you are, but it's just been killing me. I'll be like, hey, can you do like Sunday? You're like, I'm like with the vice president.
I'm filming Queer Eye.
Anyways, this podcast is about people who are amazing at things, at all sorts of things, and you like maybe fit the description better than anyone. Like the most decorated ice skater ever in the country, right? Isn't that what it is?
Something bizarre like that.
And we're gonna start with like a really like just like an icebreaker question.
And then we'll like work backwards from there.
Okay.
What was like when you look back so far in your career? What is the most defining moment?
It's funny. It's not one moment on the ice. It's not one competition. It's not. Perhaps it's a culmination of all the years of skating, all the years of those private moments when you get on the ice and no one's at the rink, or just the sound of my blades hitting the ice. Oof. Or, you know, it's those moments that I think about, not the sound of the roar.
Yeah.
You know, although I do say that there are moments when I look back at my career and I would get goosebumps, like they announce my name, just like they announce your name, and people applaud, like,
right.
Yeah. And you're just like,
yeah.
I just sometimes go, oh my God, okay, focus.
Right,
okay,
right.
this is amazing. Oh my God, focus. But I jokingly, when I finished skating and retired, I told my parents, I said, I need to find a career or a passion or something that wasn't as amazing as performing in front of thousands of people. I'm like, I wonder if there's a job out there that they'll go into the office and they'll be like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, American skater Michelle Kwan. I'm like, I don't think I can find a job like that. Yeah. It's a Monday, get to work.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a question I've always had, which is for athletes, the idea of like you're like so early in your life, you have to kind of change direction. Like, are you prepared for that? Like, do you start thinking about that from the beginning?
Well, I hope that the athletes prepare for that moment when they actually transition from being an athlete, professional athlete, to something else. But nothing can prepare you for that moment when you're actually retired and done.
Yeah.
Because I remember at the age of 7 years old, I dreamt of going to the Olympics. And for 20 years, I didn't have to ask what I wanted to do. I was going to be the best figure skater I can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at 27, it was like, okay, now I'm done. I'm like really done.
Wow.
And you could do shows or other opportunities, but
Right.
it's just not that love and that. I love the competition aspect of figure skating. So I just didn't find it again. And so I think it was feeling a little lost, feeling a little like identity crisis, if you will, because you identify who you are. You're like, I'm a performer,
Exactly.
I'm a singer,
I can't even
an ice
imagine.
skater.
And all your focus went to it,
Yeah.
and now it's
And then
like,
it's like,
oh wait,
oh,
now
yeah.
what? Who
Yeah.
am I? Yeah.
And it's finding that passion, and I think it's finding one is like getting lost, and then finding another and another path.
Yeah, and sometimes being lost is the best thing ever because
It's scary,
it
yes.
causes you to scramble and then
No, but I always think about that because I can't even imagine who I'd be if I wasn't a
Singing,
singer.
yeah.
And if it wasn't always like this goal that I was like my whole life is structured around this goal of like being a professional singer. And I always think about that with my athlete friends or even like idols like you. It's like
I'm your athlete friend.
When you're, we're Instagram friends, but now we're real friends. Yeah,
It's scary to know there's a time limit. That's what's scary.
yeah,
It's like, oh, wow.
so crazy.
Yeah.
That's why when I look back, I'm like, I should pick a sport when I can actually have a bit more longevity.
Right.
And looking back at my career, I think I have culmination of memories because I was very lucky to have started at the world level at 13 years old and then
Crazy.
staying that
That's
until 26 years old. For that long, I was competing at the World Championships, competing at the highest level, having the opportunity to tour on Champions on Ice Tour for 4 months every year.
How are you handling that as a child? 13, that's a child.
That is so young.
Were you scared? Did it give you anxiety? Like,
You're so cute in the video.
When I look back, I'm like, I am the age of my 13-year-old niece.
Yeah.
And to think that, I was touring the world, traveling. I traveled to every single city in the United States and represented the United States, wore the, all USA, Team USA uniform. I was so proud and honored. But it's a big responsibility at such a young age. And I think it's my parents who protected me and brought me up to appreciate those moments and represent the country as best I could.
wow.
How involved were they? Oh, sorry, you can ask.
Oh, no, I was going to ask this.
Yeah. How
I was gonna
involved
say.
were they in that? And like you finding that at such a young age? Like, was that a dream of theirs too?
I'm curious of your story
Yeah.
too now. As I'm like, wait, I'm on the hot seat, but I want to be on the other side.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about us. That's been an issue on some of the podcasts.
We're trying to learn how to not
Wait
talk
a
about
minute.
ourselves the whole time.
Yeah.
No, but I started at 5, and it was more like my parents saying, here's an activity that you could do after school or before school. And my brother, I have 2 siblings. My brother was in all of these different sports. He was in football, tennis. They played instruments, and my sister and I gravitated towards gymnastics and figure skating. And I think to a certain age, my parents were like, okay, well, we can't do like 30 different activities after school.
Yeah.
You have to choose one. And the one that both my sister and I gravitated towards was figure skating. I was like, it's lyrical, and they get to wear pretty costumes.
Yeah.
And you can have the jumps, the awesome jumps, and you go really fast. So it was like the best sport.
Do you think you could have been an Olympic gymnast if you focused on that?
I say yes, but
I honestly bet you could. Yeah.
But when I seen Simone Biles and other gymnasts, I'm like, nah, maybe not.
No, but that like really, I feel like there's 2 kinds of people we've had on this podcast. There's the kind that are just born with some like freak talent and it's just in them and like they were just destined to be that specific thing and nothing else. And then there are the people who are just crazy ambitious and have a crazy work ethic and know
and then
how
the combo too sometimes.
And then there's of course, and that's like probably whatever. The point is like that, like I don't know you well enough to know, but I like my guess is that you're maybe the second one where it's like you just have like a ability to
the
work.
Malcolm Gladwell, how many hours?
Oh my God, 10,000 hours. We were just on this
hours.
podcast.
It's oh really?
Yeah, pentatonics. He was talking about that. Yeah,
and
he's the coolest dude in the world.
I think that's it. I think it hit right 10,000 hours. So it's not that you are an expert and you become the best, but you become really good at that skill.
Did you always have that work ethic, or did your parents teach you that?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think seeing my mom and dad sacrifice day in, day out for their family to work overtime, to juggle 5 different jobs and struggle to put a roof over our head, feed us and take us to and from an ice skating lesson. When I think back of the struggles, it was so real, and yet they provided us an opportunity to go figure skating, in Southern California,
That's really beautiful.
Right.
But it's an opportunity they didn't have, growing up in China.
So they were both immigrants, right?
Yeah. So
that's another common theme on this podcast. It's like children of immigrants. It's like a common, which I think makes so much sense.
Ethic.
It's like, and I just want to scream at everyone, like, immigrants are good. We get the show, Kwan.
That's amazing. And another reoccurring theme has been people being close to their parents and having parental support is a huge thing. Because I feel like we both had that too.
Definitely.
That's why I want to know your story, because it's always a parent or parental units that really help.
Or a mentor in general.
A mentor,
Yeah.
And I feel like those people in your life are invaluable as you try to guide your way to success. Whether it's the 10,000 hours plus luck, plus having the financial means, i.e. parents who are very supportive at a young age, and mentors. I can't stress the importance of that because, when I transitioned from sports into politics or diplomacy, it wasn't an easy transition. And that period where we were talking about how I was sort of lost, here I was like devoted my whole life for 20 years into a sport, and then suddenly I was retired and done. I looked towards people who could guide me, and I'm glad that I asked for help. Where in your life sometimes you're lost or feeling down, just ask for help.
Yeah, wow.
That's so real.
And that can be hard to do because it's vulnerable to ask
It's
for
very
help.
vulnerable.
And you want to be put together and
especially maybe if you're really established in one area, like you're like, I'm supposed to be this like icon and this person who has all this everything together.
Yeah, she's a superstar.
Right.
She's so put
But
together.
that doesn't necessarily mean you know how to, exactly what you're saying, like work in these other fields.
I think humility, you really have to be humble. I think you have to be a student of life. You can't come in going, I know everything. Maybe in figure skating, I did at one point.
Yeah.
Know the ins and outs, know the judging system, which I don't know now.
Yeah, things change. Things are always changing.
And it's even a professor or a doctor, or yes, you're an expert, but yet experts still seek out the latest new technology, the advancements of everything.
Stay curious.
And that's really powerful too. I feel like in pentatonics, I think one of our biggest strengths is we are always willing to like listen to each other's ideas, and there's never ego. It's always kind of like,
that's the best
even
team.
if 4 people hate someone's idea, we at least try it.
You're like,
and it can be tedious.
No,
but
I
it's like
think
we
that's,
at least try everything
that is
because we're
one of
all
the
willing to be
secrets for
very
you guys,
wrong.
I think. I also, not to like go off the rails at all, but I'm not going to say the name of this person, but there's like my best friend. No, this is a famous person, not just famous to me. This is like this musician that I know, and I remember noticing that they never listen to new music. Like they're very successful, but they never listen to like new stuff, like just never. And I was always like, that feels like a mistake, because at least I want to at least have the idea that no matter how successful I ever got, I would still be curious and like want to grow and get inspired by something new, especially as an artist. You know, like
it sounds profound though. Like you shut the world down and you be creative. I mean, there's moments of like you gather information, you listen to what's out there, what's connecting to people, what's relatable, and then you kind of go in your dark room. And I don't know how you guys write music. I have
it's kind of different every time.
Right? Yeah.
I have to like set aside time. Like this is music writing time.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I got an idea.
Me too. No. I need to have a plan.
I actually didn't have a plan. Usually I would have music that moves me.
Yeah.
I.e. your music.
You Instagram me. I'm telling you.
Everyone go watch that.
Oh my God,
so good.
Michelle Kwan dancing to my song Bad Together. Literally, I was in a session. I was in the studio and I was like,
I had to say your voice haunts me a lot because I will be on Spotify and your voice will pop up and I'm like, and it just like takes you. And that's how I ended up choreographing programs.
I was going to ask, like, how did you find music?
Inspiration.
And
I would just play music, and sometimes it would boil down to like 5 different pieces of music. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand, like, one piece, we have a short program, a long program. Mm-hmm. And so those 2 programs is what we skate to for the rest of the year.
So you gotta love the song.
Oh
2 songs.
My God.
You better
I'd have to pick a Beyonce song or something else.
Right? It has to be one of those pieces that you can listen over and over and over and not get sick of it. And so I would put on the music and then, I almost said to CD. Put on
the cassette tape.
Totally.
Turn on the record
Dating
player.
myself right here. And just like skate to it. And it was the most freeing. And if I could move and listen to it and like, I could feel an opening in my mind, in my heart.
That is what it feels like. That is.
Right?
That's
You're like, I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm right here. I've got it.
That's the best feeling in the world.
Right?
And I feel like a lot of people ignore that feeling because they're trying to like craft exactly what they think would be successful.
Right.
And the thing is, even if it's really far left or something, like following inspiration is the way to go, because then you'll be authentic, and
for sure,
it's insane what that can lead to.
Yeah, because that makes sense to me to hear you say that, because something that I always notice when I watch you is you, like, obviously you're technically like mind-blowing, and I'm like, how, honey, are you doing that move? I don't get it. But also you have this like, have you guys seen Center Stage, the ballet movie?
No,
I have.
You love ballet.
I do love ballet. So there's this okay, she's auditioning, not to be a psycho and tell this story in detail, but she's auditioning for the company, and like they're watching her dance and they're like, bad feet. And then the other voice of the judges goes, but just look at her. Yeah. And she's like lighting it up, and you have perfect feet as far as I can tell with ice skating. But I had that thought in my mind where I was like, just look at her. Like you just like are like alive when you're performing.
Yeah,
and
people feel that.
Yeah,
definitely.
it's like you're connecting to the music, clearly.
Which is really special. It's that it factor. Yeah, that's kind of what Matt had when we auditioned new basses for Pentatonics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he came in and just like when we were watching him, we were just all smiling and loved him. So we weren't even thinking about technicalities anymore.
Right.
We were like,
That's
he's
interesting.
it. And it's like following that. Yeah.
And it's like art is supposed to entertain.
But you're
and
also
inspire.
technically perfect, so this is a bad example.
No.
But the fact that you have all of it.
Yeah.
No, what
cool.
you were saying really, like, I remember that scene very well. There's a movie a long time ago.
Yeah.
Actually, figure skating is in it. Ilya Kulik.
Wait.
Olympic champion.
Oh my God, wait, which character is she?
Oh, no, it's Ilya.
Oops, that's so embarrassing.
No, it's
I didn't even know.
you have to rewatch it.
Okay, I'll rewatch it.
We'll rewatch it one day with popcorn and stuff.
I love that movie.
I just remember as a kid watching skaters glide cross, doing jumps, and I'm just like admiring them doing triple jumps. And I was still very, very junior. And my dad came to me and he was like, this person, she's really, really talented, and she has the technical, she's got the jumps, she's got this, she's got grace. This person is, very hardworking. And my dad said, you know what? If you work hard, even though you're not the most talented, you can make it. And it stuck with me. And I don't know if it's the it factor. I don't know what it is. When you compare my spirals with other skaters, I don't have the spiral that goes all the way up. I didn't have the triple jumps that were so easy. I didn't have the triple combination down. Like the technical. So
That's not
I think
really
what he's saying
connects.
is it's like hope, because some people just compare themselves. They're like, I'm not naturally as good as this person, so why even try? And I think that lesson's really important for everyone to hear, because it's like, if you work hard enough, you don't have to be the best. You can just like work your way there.
What like that's not necessarily what connects with people. I think singers, it's the same thing. Like
there's so many singers just like objectively, technically better than me.
That's not
so
the point,
I was like,
though.
well, that's not the point.
Yeah,
not the
totally.
point.
And those aren't my favorite singers. Like my favorite. I mean, of course, I die for the technique. I love it. But
crazy accuracy.
I love
stuff,
it. But that's not what like I'm going to listen to over and over again when I'm like going through a heartbreak, or when I'm falling in love, or when I'm when I'm like whatever. It's like that's not what it is. That's not what gets to the core of it. So that was my guess. Like I was going to ask you like what you think. Why like. What sets you apart? I mean, other than being, that sounds like a dumb question to ask you, because you're just like clearly just like won everything. Maybe that's what it is.
She's like, well, I was the best in the world for a long time. So
but I just mean was there, or maybe a better way to frame this question is like,
or the question that you always ask.
Yeah,
I like that question a lot.
What do you think your biggest talent is? Like what was your
everyone says
natural...
ice skating.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
I think perseverance.
That's a good
And
skill
plain
to have.
stubbornness. I think perseverance and stubbornness are related.
Yeah. What do you think that
just,
stubbornness stemmed from?
Well, I think it's like all of us, everybody gets a no, or like, no response from somebody, or, second place or last place, or for a figure skater, it's like falling and refusing to give up. It's like, no, I'm going to do it.
Yes.
And I guess my upbringing, I think my parents are very hardworking and stubborn. And I think they never give up. I think even participating in a sport when, frankly, they shouldn't have been able to afford a luxury like figure skating, where skates cost upwards to $500 to $1,000 for custom skates. Each session costs nowadays like $20, let alone like a lesson can be $60 to $100 an hour.
Wow.
So I look back, I'm like, how did my parents afford that?
Right.
But they were like, no, if you want to go ice skating, I am going to pay for it somehow,
happen.
right?
Yes.
Somehow. I didn't have the prettiest
love
costumes.
and selflessness.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
And I think that, to me, I have a bit of that, where I just don't give up. And it could be days where my coach would see me fall. Like I had the worst time doing certain jumps. Like we call them edge jumps or toe jumps. And I hated edge jumps. But I mean, I would fall and they weren't like pretty graceful, like fall. You know, they're like wipe out, like hardcore.
I just want to see like a montage of you training to do that.
Seriously. I legit can show you like where I kicked myself with my heel. And the blades are not like...
they're literally knives.
They're little, So I would just have massive bruises and massive, but I just kept on doing it, and it just takes sometimes that one moment of hope, like you said, Scott. It's like that moment you're like, is that what it was?
The glimpse of what you could, oh my God, that feeling.
It takes so much patience to get there.
Oh God, the glimpse of like, oh my God, I could sing that. I can see it on the distance, and then you sing for 100 years. It's infuriating sometimes. Wait, this is like a little bit off the rails again, but that stubbornness I relate to. Like I'm like that, and I don't know if you find this, but I find it's like a huge problem with like my personal life, because I'll be like, that's not how to like play it cool when you're dating. I'm like, this is what I want. We're gonna make it happen, and it's like, honey, that's not cute. That's not flirting.
That is not, I want you now. Doesn't work.
It's so funny. I remember learning that like as a teenager. I was like, oh, this doesn't apply here.
You're like scheduling when y'all are going to first say I love you. You're like, July 24th.
It's
ready.
been 6.5 months.
Hello. Anyways, not to go there, but.
It takes all of I think the stubbornness, the hardworking, I think the lessons that you learn through sports or other activities like singing or culture, it applies everywhere. I think it bleeds everywhere, even to relationships. I mean, if you don't catch yourself. I mean, for me as an athlete, one thing I learned really quickly was to like parachute out. Like understand, because you can't afford 6 months doing the same thing and slowly going, this is not, I'm off the rails right now. I'm really off the rails. As soon as athletes, I think it's always like mental check, physical check. Like, how do I feel? I feel exhausted. So I need to like reserve throughout the day in order to like train as hard as I need to. It's that real awareness. And I think we probably understand because we're either on, in front of thousands of people and you're like, oh, well, that song was not up to par. Like no one else heard it, but you're like, ooh, step it up next. So we all have to parachute out. We have to observe. We have to understand like what we need to like either press the gas, stop, like, rearrange, or fix what's wrong.
Right, being able to control your mind as well. I was going to ask you about that when you said like 1,000 people rowing for you. Did you get really nervous for all these things? Because you don't seem nervous. You don't seem nervous. 1% in any competition.
How do you not seem so nervous?
Because I get
so nervous.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah, my worst vocal performances are always on live TV because I just like cannot get my nerves down.
Whenever it's really important, I almost without a doubt lose my voice. It's infuriating.
But was it like an inner pep talk, or how did you do it?
The 3 things I used to say to myself before I stepped onto the ice was like, one question was, do I have my legs under me? Like knowing that I'm like, I gotta press start soon. The program's gonna start and I'm not gonna have a moment to like take your time and don't rush. I remind myself if I have a speaking engagement where I sometimes rush and I stumble. Like on a day-to-day basis, I don't stutter. Right. Suddenly I'm stuttering. Like I need to have my own tempo. This is the way I speak. This is the way, and just
trust yourself.
It's like a sound check for me. It's like, do I have my legs under me? Like, because the jumps are my legs, I need my, I need my legs to jump. So take my time. So I'm like, I kind of slow my breathing down, and then I'm like, don't rush.
And that's a skill you have to learn. I feel like in all aspects, job interviews, anything, being able to calm yourself.
Yes.
That's hard.
Our voice teacher, Jeffrey Allen, what he always says is breathe out.
Yeah,
breathe out.
That helped me so much.
Because you're like, oh, okay, breathe in now.
I'm like, I can't hit these notes anymore. And he's like, it's because you're not breathing.
You're not breathing. You're like,
you're like suffocating.
I remember being one of the first times I ever sang in an arena. I was opening for Maroon 5 for New Year's Eve in Vegas. You were probably there, Scott.
I was there. I just saw a picture 2 days ago from
I know someone posted that. I saw we are aging well because we looked worse then.
For Forget that face app.
Exactly. But
by the way, be careful with that face app.
I know, Russia, guys, don't use the face app. Russia's
Mark and I deleted
infiltrating.
it.
Okay, good.
I was like,
I know,
when
and then I was
that.
reading, it was like a year before the election. I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying.
No, and I was way too close to that too.
Yeah.
2016, I was working for Hillary Clinton. So, yeah. So when I heard the face app, I was like, okay.
Oh my God.
I'm like,
Use that one.
even when I see Instagram picture, I'm like, don't like it because they might connect me somehow. No.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, you have to like think about that because you're like with the president.
With our president.
With our president. Okay, but what I was gonna say was I remember this was like the first time in an arena, and I was like, why can't I breathe? And I was like, because I'm so nervous that I literally was holding my breath. And I think about it all the time. Breathe out.
Do you do yoga?
Out.
Do you do
Sometimes.
I used to a long time ago. I haven't in a while, but I think I want to get back into it.
You really should.
Yeah, I should. I know I should.
You have plenty of room here. We'll do like a yoga sesh.
I would love that.
And then
oh my
watch
gosh.
Center Stage.
Our neighbor across the street is like a yogi, owns a yoga studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, but
you do it
does
first.
it.
Yeah.
And Jonathan.
Let's all do it.
Great. And then Center Stage.
Yes, and then Center Stage.
Okay,
well, we'll
wow.
have Eli Kulik.
Yes.
Although I did yoga with Jonathan, and I was...
We're talking about Jonathan Van Ness.
Sorry.
Guys. Yeah.
No, and for a second I was like... Because he has so much energy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wonder what he's going to do. Like, can he actually not talk for 60 minutes?
Could he?
No. I love you, Jonathan.
That's amazing.
All right, you guys, that concludes part 1 of our conversation with Michelle Kwan. Tune in next time for part 2.